Overtraining. So when you got somebody come in, they do a hard set, Carlos. They come in and you did, let's say, one day of 1 or 2 rep maxes. Then on some of the things, and they pushed hard, maybe 3 to 5 reps on some of the other things. I'm assuming that from your perspective, that's a pretty hard lift day.
Yeah.
Right?
So I had somebody like that this past week. One of my volleyball players. We did. We ended up with sets of 2. So really heavy lifting because I knew she didn't have a tournament this week. I knew school was over, so I knew she had time to recover. Wednesday was our heavy lift day, and Friday was a recovery day of lifting. Recovery day lifting is 3 sets of 10 with moderate weight. And one of the things I use with clients is I want to know RPE, like rate of perceived exertion. So the first set of deadlift was like 115 pounds for her. And I said, so how was your RPE? Because the set of 2 that she did on Wednesday on our heavy lift day was like, oh my God, that was like an 8.5. And I said, well, what was your RPE for the 115 pounds? She's like, like a 5. I said, that's a moderate day, so that's great for her. It's not nothing was over a 5 for her. I like that's a deloading day, and then she's got weekend to go have fun and be a teenager.
So let's say on another day though, would you ever take someone down to a point where they're doing like a maybe a set of like 15, 20? Let me throw an example of like deltoids or something, right? And you give them like a 2 or 3 pound weight, and we just go ahead and do a just kind of reps of 20, 30 as a low level of technique.
Yeah, that's another way to do that, especially with my very hypermobile people. Is I like loading up high repetition for muscular endurance for posterior chain stuff, rhomboid, mid trap. Whether it's some sort of bent over row, whether it's on the Kaiser, the half kneeling high pull, where I like a lot of repetition, just so from the standpoint of a neuromuscular reeducation, I don't want to have them doing as many reps as possible of a pull up. I want reeducation. How does that scapula move? Upwardly, downwardly when you're pulling down. The rest of it, I want that person to focus on not the lift. I don't care how much weight you're lifting. How does it feel to get that scapula up? Pull, initiate from that scapula, pull that elbow down. I want more focus on creating core control. What does that scapula feel like? That becomes our breathing as well with the lift, and it's more focused on how is everything moving. Versus, hey man, let's lift some heavy deadlifts today and lift like 200 pounds off the floor.
Talk a lot about zone training. I think I'm sort of a big believer in that at this point. But there's zone training that I see from the endurance world, the running and cycling type of world. But in the weightlifting world, I haven't really heard about it too much. But I know the fundamentals would still apply.
Yes.
So on the weightlifting side, let's say you were looking at a zone 1 or zone 2 type of thing, like what kind of stuff, what does that look like in a zone 2 day?
But that's like the RPE scale for me.
Is
I use like a 1 through 5 scale, or sometimes a 1 through 10, depending on how specific are we going to get. I do have a heavy weightlifter that comes in here, and we do lots of heavy squats, heavy deadlifts. He'll be here tomorrow, and we always ask man, what did that feel like? And we use a 1 through 10 scale. If he's squatting 300 pounds, as his warm up, oh man, that's like a 3. That's easy. Let's move it up. If it's, he's deadlifting close to 450, oh man, it's close to his max. That's going to be an 8. So I know where he's going to be. That's why I like to ask, where are you? How did that feel? 1 to 5, 1 to 10, whatever you got, whatever makes it easier for you.
No, I'm not sure.
The zone for me is, that's going to tell me how much time do I need to recover. If it's on a scale of 1 to 10 RPE, if it's like an 8.5, I'm going to need a lot of time recovery before I do something else.
Now, is there other than the RPE, which is that perceived exertion scale, because people lie to themselves all the time.
I got to say, when you're lifting heavy, like my people who come in are very honest about the heavy lift. When you're lifting heavy, it's like, okay, Man, that was an 8. Woo, that was an 8.5.
Yeah.
I had maybe 1 or 2 reps left in the tank that I could do solidly without compensation.
Sure. So, but I was thinking, like, is there another technique? I know you can do the grip strength stuff, but just to make as an objective measure, like, is there a, other than the RP, which is more of a subjective scale, is there an objective measure that you utilize or you've seen
objectively, not really. Again, because it also depends on day, right? So it depends on the day. Like, what is my HRV? What is my hand grip dynamometer? You know, that's my objective scale for the day.
Okay.
If it's strong, hey, let's go at it.
Okay.
If it's not very high, if heart rate, HRV is like, if you're in the red or yellow, man, that's a recovery day for me. If it's in the green, let's go at it. If we have a good hand grip dynamometer, or even if I don't have hand grip dynamometer, I'm going to say, hey, Paul, how was your morning this morning?
Squeeze it,
let me have that. Squeeze it. Let me have it. Let me have it. Let me have it.
If you go like,
If it's a limp noodle, hey, if it's a limp noodle,
Right.
it's recovery day, man. We're going to do some lightweight, focus on like lots of repetition and some mobility stuff.
So do you structure it out a little bit? So let's say this week we're going to do maybe 1 or 2 days of like a heavy lift, and the rest is going to be more recovery. So
yes.
So you're never blowing it out going, okay, I'm going to do like a hard day of chest, and then I'm going to come in and do the next day a hard day of legs or something like that. But you're not recovered, so you wouldn't do that, right?
Right, because then your body is like fighting every day. Like, hey, I need some recovery, man.
Yeah.
So the problem becomes like how to like have that heavy day, especially when you have an athlete that plays softball, volleyball, polo. Is at work seeing patients all day, and having to do documentation, doing a chapter in a book, or whatever it is that you got all these stressors. How do you manage the load? And it's almost variable because you can always put up, hey, this is the program you're doing for today.
Right.
Yeah, but you know what? Hey, I stayed up till midnight. Right. My child was sick. I didn't get very good sleep. Then all that goes out the window.
Because it comes back to that neuromuscular piece.
You got it.
If you're fatigued neuromuscularly or neurally fatigued because of all the other stressors in life, then it will reflect back on the muscular system. And that maybe the day that you thought was going to be like, I'm going to do a heavy lift day, it isn't.
Yeah, it has to be variable.
Yeah.
You have to be able to switch on a dime where Paul comes in and says, hey, you know what? I had a long night last night with my son. I didn't get very good sleep. I was traveling. I just got back to California last night. Man, that's a lot of stuff. And to expect them to come in and, hey, we got a heavy lift day planned for that day.
Performance. Like say,
not going to happen.
I come to Houston here and I say, I'm going to go for a run at Memorial Park and I'm gonna hammer it today. It's like, it ain't going to happen.
Well, and the other funny thing that you mentioned is like environmental factor is huge, right? Especially coming from California to Houston. Like, oh my God, it's like effing hot here.
Yeah.
So that becomes an environmental factor for your performance and recovery, right? If you're from California and you got a cool breeze, it doesn't get to be like the feel like temperature is supposed to be like 109 today. I don't know if you ever get that where you are.
No, it was 104 yesterday.
With the humidity, it's like, and then go run in that now.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then the other difference is, as well as that, is like, I think we talked about it briefly, was like below sea level, above sea level, like how you're training. And that makes a huge difference too.
Huge difference as you start to get into elevation changes. So there are definitely environmental factors.
You coming from California to here, you got to bang that out easily.
Yeah.
You had 104 and you have altitude, you come here, no problem.
Yeah, going from here and you go train up to Mammoth.
Big problem.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. All right.